Before installation of the Genwall system, we want to make sure all the studs are fastened with a 3/4 inch wafer head screw. This allows the panel to lay as flat as possible for proper air and weather seal. Apply a 3/8 bead of TremPro 651 curing butyl onto the concrete slab. This will be used as a bed sealant to properly seal the system to the substrate. If Genwall is installed above the concrete slab, then a bead of curing butyl sealant will be applied along the stud runner for the seal. When installing the flashing for an outside corner, using 24 gauge flashings, cut the metal to fit. Then place the flashing onto the bed sealant. Fasten the trim securely to the stud using a 5/8 inch wafer head screw so that the Genwall panel can fit snugly to the wall. The second piece of flashing is again cut to fit. The use of duckbill clamps will help form the corner flashing. Apply a bead of TremPro JS773 non-curing butyl to marry the lap joints. Press the flashing onto the bed sealant and then fasten the flashing to the stud using a 5/8 inch wafer head screw. To finish the corner detail, TremPro JS773 is applied vertically to marry the vertical corner flashing. The flashing is placed onto the butyl and then fastened to the stud. When flashing an inside corner, 24 gauge flashing is cut to fit. The use of duckbill clamps will help form the end dam at corners, jambs, and window sills. The flashing is set on the bed seal to prepare for the next piece of flashing. JS773 non-curing butyl is applied to the corner of the flashing. The next piece is then cut and placed onto the butyl. It is then securely fastened to the stud using 5/8 inch wafer head screws. To finish the inside corner, JS773 non-curing butyl is applied to the corner flashing. An 18 gauge vertical corner flashing is then placed onto the sealant and then fastened to the stud to complete an inside corner lap. When lapping the flashing, JS773 is also used for the marriage bead. Placing the next piece of flashing over the previous and then fastening it to the stud. When flashing a jamb, properly cut and form the 24 gauge metal before applying a marriage bead of non-curing butyl sealant. Then place the vertical jamb onto the sealant and appropriately fasten the flashing to the stud. Once the flashing is installed, EPDM foam gasket is then placed along the flashing. This will become the weather-tight seal for the Genwall system. This will be done for all base, inside and outside corners, jamb, and penetration flashings to ensure a proper seal. The foam gasket will also be used on the stud where two Genwall panels will be butt together. Wherever there are two pieces of foam gasket butt together, TremPro JS773 non-curing butyl is used to marry each joint. When preparing to set the first row of Genwall panels, starter panels are cut in half. This creates a level surface to start the first row. The drop of the cut panel is then kept and can potentially be used at the parapet of the wall as the final row of panel. Parapet flashing is to be installed, the panel fastened, and then spray foam is used to fill the remaining cavity, then covered by a 3M all-weather flashing tape. At an inside corner, the panel is typically curved on the end to create a thermal break. Then the panel is placed onto the wall, and a marriage bead of non-curing butyl sealant is applied an inch behind and above the ends of the panel. A patented Genwall clip is then used to fasten the panel to the stud 16 inches on center. Using the appropriate length of number 12 by 14 self-driller fasteners, loosely fasten the clip to the stud. Then the through fastener at the bottom of the starter panel can be fully engaged before going back and tightening the clip fasteners. This allows to fully compress the foam gasket behind the panel. Compression of the gasket needs to be 25 to 50% compression, approximately a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch. When two starter panels butt together, 3M 8067 all-weather flashing tape is used to seal the joint. Adhering from the top lip of the panels all the way to the base, the all-weather flashing tape is used to drive any possible water in the above joint out to the surface of the Genwall system. This is applied to the bottom row and above any window or door openings. If there is a masonry through wall flashing above the bottom row, this must be applied to the next row above. The Genwall clip is then pushed into both panels. The clip is then fastened back to the stud. Using JS773 non-curing butyl, a marriage bead is then created by going over the top of the joint and down vertically onto the clip. When creating a corner profile, the panel joinery is cut and removed to have a smooth transition at the corner. 3M 8067 all-weather flashing tape is then used to seal the corner for the starter row. The flashing tape is applied to the base of the panel and smoothed out up and over the panel ledge. Another piece of 3M tape is then cut so it can be easily folded around and over the top leg of the panel. At the jamb, the panel is installed as previously mentioned, loosely tightening the clips to the studs, then fully engaging the bottom through fasteners before going back and fully engaging the top clips. Trem Pro 651 curing butyl sealant is then applied to the panel joint to create an end dam. The next row of panel is then placed and pressed down to engage the bottom panel. Once the panel is fastened to the stud with a clip, 3M flashing tape is then used to seal the jamb. If an end dam is missed on a joint, it can later be created by shooting the curing butyl into the joinery. The 3M flashing tape is then used to seal the joint. Before installing your Genwall panels, be sure to check the butyl within the panel joint. If there are any thin areas or voids, be sure to fill those spaces with Trem Pro JS773 non-curing butyl sealant. When installing the next row of panels, be sure to fit them snug to any corners, jambs, or panel joints. Be sure to cut the panel length to share a stud with the next adjacent panel. To ensure full panel engagement, make sure the joint space is approximately 1/8 between panels. Don't forget to place a bead of non-curing sealant 1 inch behind and above the panel lip at the ends before securing the panel to the stud using a Genwall clip. Once you have completed your wall, 3/4 inch hats can be installed vertically 16 inches on center or horizontally 36 inches on center to the leg of the Genwall clips. Using a number 10 by 16 3/4 inch pancake screw, the hats are then attached to the Genwall clip. A 3/4 inch screw is specifically used so the fastener does not pierce the drain plane of the Genwall panel. We hope this video, in conjunction with the installation manual, will be helpful when installing Genwall on your next project.